Leaking games is just stupid. A random guy on the internet leaks everything that they can to the public, like they're doing some kind of vigilante work, like Robin Hood, damaging the evil corporations and giving the gold back to the people. That's just wrong. But instead of just ranting about it, I'm gonna try to show you the hidden costs of those leaks, both to the development team and the game itself. Every time somebody leaks something out of GTA 6, for example, the developers need to stop what they're doing and spend resources trying to mitigate the breach. Resources that are not going to be used in the game. So what's the logic? Many people have wild misconceptions about how game development works, what's important, what's not important. And having been a game developer for the past 11 years, I want to share some insights on that. So let's start talking about all of the implications when leaks like that happen. And I want to make something very clear. When game footage leaks, the game will suffer and the development team will suffer. For example, these big companies like Rockstar and Microsoft, they have loads and loads of security protocols. Developers need to follow strict guidelines to make sure the content is secure and nothing breaches. That's one of the main concerns because of copyright, branding considerations, and whatnot. When I worked together with Microsoft, we had several different tools and protocols and software that we could use or not in our day-to-day. That was just a minor annoyance, but it can get easily much worse than that for developers. So when leaks happen, these companies need to double down even more on these protocols. That actually happened already with Rockstar a couple years back for a previous GTA 6 leak. The result? Developers were pushed back to the offices instead of being allowed to work remotely, which most of them would have preferred after the pandemic. So there's already very clear negative impacts. Not only enhanced safeguards, but now that somebody leaked the game, every developer is a suspect. Look at what that does to the morale of the team and the trust between management and the staff, which in big companies like that is already not stellar. Now developers have to justify everything that they do to prove they are not the ones leaking the game. Instead of focusing on working at their best to deliver a great product, they are now constantly concerned with management. What if leadership thinks they leaked something? What if they know the person who did and there's going to be collateral damage? In times when we're seeing dozens of thousands of layoffs every year all across the industry. And there's one even crazier thing. When in a company security measures get too strict, many times even inside that company, information will be hidden about the game itself. If you're working on one department, then information at another department might not be available to you. It might be hidden to avoid the chances of a new breach. Especially with outsourcing partners, that's super common. Partner studios that can be creating characters or scenarios for a game might not even know what that game is until much later in production. What a crazy thing, you're working on something that you would be super excited about, but you don't know what that is, and you don't dare ask it. And that's just part of the problem. There's more. When some important game information or footage breaches out to the public, companies have to spend their marketing budget and effort to mitigate the effects of the leak. That can mess up marketing strategies and even release timelines, which can actually delay the game. The months that precede launch for a game of that scale are incredibly stressful already. Developers are almost always working on the edge, many times late hours. Crunching is still a reality in game development, a tough one. And now there's a high chance that everything will be even more messed up for everybody. If you think that the impact goes only to the evil corporates, well, think again. I have some deep criticism of the evil corporate overlords, just like the next guy. But what you might not be seeing is that the real impact is on the development team itself. It's on the game directly. Their jobs might be at risk. Their schedules might be the ones messed up. People at the top, they have all of the resources that they want. They always manage to get away with it. But the developers, much less so. Players overall might be excited about a game leaking because they're anxious. They want to see the game ASAP. And in the case of GTA 6, they have been expecting for so long, they just can't handle it anymore. And it's kind of cool, to have fans like that. I love when people are that excited about the games I'm working on. But you're missing the big picture. In the end, it's an illusion, and you're actually harming the game that you care about. I can guarantee you that if a leak is big enough and problematic enough for the team, part of the game will necessarily suffer. Maybe those last few bugs don't get addressed because some developers were pushed aside to deal with the implications of the disclosure. So by leaking, you get a worse game and miserable developers. How does that sound? So don't leak games. Don't share leaked content. And if you are a content creator, don't use that to promote content to your channel or whatever. I know it's tempting, but that only harms the game, the developers, and the community. And sadly, we already have a lot of trusting issues in this industry. Alright, I ranted enough already, so here comes what I consider to be a good solution for both the gamers and developers, and it's called open development. I've always found the ultra secretiveness that companies enforce onto their games a bit silly. You know, oh, nobody can see this holy precious thing that we're working on and we can only show it when it's ready. Well, that probably makes more sense when we're talking about films, but with games, I embrace open development, which is when the company is proactive about showing the development of the game more openly with fans. It might be game footage, might be part of the storyline, character concepts, or new mechanics to be added. It depends on the game, and of course not everything should be disclosed ahead of time, naturally. But there's so much in my opinion that can and should be shared openly with the players. If you manage it right, the upside hugely surpasses the downside. Subnautica is a very good example of that. The team made public their internal task boards on Trello so everybody could see what they were working on in real time. That certainly generated a lot of fan engagement and discussions that can help the game steer in the right direction. Another example, and a game we discussed in a previous video, is Star Citizen. The dev team constantly showcases progress and new features to the public, and because they are primarily crowdfunded, they even show how much money is being raised in real time. And yeah, I know Star Citizen generates a lot of controversy for other reasons. We have a full video on that. I'll leave in the comments below. As we're developing a game, we need excessive amounts of feedback from real players. And most studios I've seen don't do that. They tend to do a couple of play tests here and there before actually releasing a game, only to discover that there are some major issues players have with it. As a developer, it's really hard to judge your own game after a while, so it's essential to have a lot of players chiming in. Open development can help with that. Plus, if you have a good team working on community and marketing, you can build an engaged community around your game and increase the hype on it. Of course, that's not necessary for GTA 6, but it could be incredibly helpful to most developers out there, even the big ones. I've always wondered why game studios feel the need to be so secretive. Are people out there really gonna steal your idea? Oh, now I know that Rockstar will include gyms and working out in GTA 6. I'm gonna steal that idea and create my own gym game. Really? I've never seen that ever, not even once. I'm not saying that open development is the only solution or the best solution for all teams, but it sure would be cool to see more studios adopting it by default, instead of hiding your game in the shadows and only releasing a trailer or two. I don't see how that is better, to be honest. But what do you think about these GTA 6 leaks? Are you glad that you can see some clips of the game ahead of time? Or are you just as upset as I am? Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, that's it. Take care, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.